Emerson Fittipaldi in the closing laps. An Emma mistake gave Al his second Indianapolis win. Last week at Milwaukee, Al scored again. Now 3 in a row with Penske cars, 1, 2, and 3. But the season is more than Al. It is Penske. Emerson Fittipaldi scored the Phoenix win. The Nigel Bennett design chassis is fast, no matter what engine it carries. The only other chassis to win this year was Michael Andretti's Renard, taking the season's first race at Surfers Paradise in Australia. A podium finish for father and son. The question mark is red number 1, defending PPG champion Nigel Mansell and his Newman Haas Lola. His season has been less than spectacular, with no wins thus far, and at Phoenix, a big mistake. Today, Nigel and the rest ask the same question. Can Al Unser be stopped? From the magnificent Belle Isle in the Detroit River, just off of Detroit on the border between the United States and Canada, ABC Sports presents the ITT Automotive Detroit Grand Prix. The official ceremonies are already underway down at the pit entrance. Let's go a little further up the pit road to Gary Gerould.
Paul, the recent dominance of the Penske team could be very seriously challenged here in the streets of Belle Isle today. And the man who's expected to do the bulk of the challenging, Nigel Mansell, who starts in the pole position. He had an electrifying qualifying run yesterday, broke his own track record by 1.5 seconds. He's a half second faster than the fastest of the Penskes. And that's Al Unser Jr., who's just alongside in the front row. Paul Tracy, Emerson Fittipaldi behind him in row 2. And if that's not enough incentive to beat that Penske juggernaut today, consider also $135,000 Marlboro bonus on the line if Nigel Mansell can win this race from the pole position. Now let's go back to row 3 and Jack Arute.
Gary, this logo was missing from the Indianapolis 500, but it's back in row 3 and back in Detroit with a vengeance. Part of the engine package for Rahal Hogan Racing, and Bobby Rahal has qualified quite well. It's a new, updated version of the Honda engine behind Bobby Rahal today, and people must remember that it took 3 years in Formula One competition before Honda was victorious. Many people feel it'll be sooner in IndyCar competition. Then there's the story of the 4th Brazilian in IndyCar competition. Mauricio Gugelmin, teammate to Michael Andretti, has qualified on the outside of that 3rd row. He hopes to join his teammate Michael Andretti in victory lane. Andretti winning for Renard first time out in Australia. He qualified far better than his teammate Andretti did here in Detroit. Paul?
Well, a little bit earlier, there was a threat of rain in the area. It seems to have dissipated for now, but we're going to be watching these skies behind us over downtown Detroit because that is from where the weather comes. Now, we mentioned Michael Andretti. He is definitely a car to watch here today. Every race at Detroit that he's been in, he's been starting on the pole. Not so today. He starts 17th. In his one victory in 1990, Michael Andretti ran every lap at the head of the race. But Michael Andretti now has a challenge ahead of him. The road courses are beginning. Michael scored his only win this year on a road course. In this next series of races for IndyCar, if Michael is going to get into that points fight, it is going to have to happen now. Well, now, though, we are ready for all 28 Indy cars to accept that command to start their engines. So let's go down at the starting line for those famous words.
Detroit's Mayor Dennis Archer.
Drivers, start your engines!
So there they are, Mario Andretti ready for his last start here in Detroit. The Penske team confident of victory once again. We will see if that happens. When we come back, we have more leading up to the start of the Grand Prix here in Detroit.
Brought to you by ITT. When it comes to building business, at ITT we're adding more than just our name. Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. And Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. Add more life to your car.
The Renaissance Center, the centerpiece of downtown Detroit, not far away from Belle Isle. Just below the shot, the island itself and the racetrack. The Indy cars are already rolling on their parade laps. So let's take a look at the starting grid. On the pole is Nigel Mansell. He has only won once on a road course in his IndyCar career, alongside Allinger Jr. looking for 4 in a row. In row 2, Paul Tracy, a third last week at Milwaukee, and Emerson Fittipaldi, a 2-time winner here in Detroit. Row 3, Mauricio Gugelmin, the fastest rookie qualifier, and Bobby Rahal, the winner of the first race here on the island. In row 4, rookie Jacques Villeneuve. And Teo Fabi. In the first IndyCar race in Detroit, he finished 4th. Row 5, Mario Andretti and Robbie Gordon. Row 6, Stefan Johansson and Adrian Fernandez. Row 7, Ari Luyendyk and Raul Boesel. In the 8th row, Mike Groff and Christian Danner. Row 9, the 90 winner, Michael Andretti and Brian Herta. Row 10, Jimmy Vasser and Frederick Ekblom. Row 11, Scott Goodyear and Marco Greco. In the 12th row, Mark Smith and Dominic Dobson. Alessandro Zampedri and Scott Sharp make up row 13. And the 14th row, Buddy Lazier and Willie T. Ribbs. So that's the way they line up as the wind picks up here on the edge of the Detroit River. The question, Sam, is can the Penske team be beaten?
Oh, Paul, I think things are still wide open. After all, this is only the 6th of 16 races. And I believe personally that Nigel Mansell, the defending champion, is about to come on really strong. When you think of what's going on in the world of hockey with the Rangers and the Canucks, it just proves that in pro sports today, anything can happen.
No question about that. But Bobby Unser, the man who wins today, what's it going to take?
Well, Paul, I think that the driver that wins here today is going to be one with real courage. The track has mostly medium and fast turns. The slow turns really have no place to pass. Therefore, I think the passing here is going to become a factor of being brave and taking some real chances.
All right, so the cars are rolling. We're ready to start the pace lap, and when we come back, the green flag will come out over the Indy cars. Back at the ITT Automotive Detroit Grand Prix, the Indy cars are now on the pace lap itself. As the pace car begins to pull just a bit away, here is the challenge as we look ahead to 77 laps here. And Danny Sullivan, last year's winner, of course, is not racing in the Indy cars this year. Earliest possibility, we think, for a pit stop would be on lap 15. The view back from Nigel Mansell's car, one of the onboard cameras we'll have for you, as well as this magnificent view over the left-hand side of Robbie Gordon's car and Michael Andretti's car as well. Further onboard cameras throughout in the field as well. We'll show them to you during the running of the race. Remember, the start here was so controversial last year. The rule is the pole sitter has to get to the line first. The pole sitter is on his way. In fact, a good start over the line. He gets well ahead of second place as he comes to the line. One engine could already be in trouble. We've seen a couple of puffs there as Mansell takes the lead of the race.
Well, Mansell sure didn't let happen what happened last year. He had about 2 car lengths ahead of Little Al last year. He got snookered a little bit by Emerson Fittipaldi.
And Mike Groff already off the course and into the tire barrier. That will bring out a local yellow. The IndyCar safety team already there helping him.
It's amazing what these tire barriers do. The drivers sometimes drive in there well over 100 miles an hour. It doesn't ever seem to hurt much, Paul.
With Team Penske in pursuit, Nigel Mansell pulling away from the field. Remember that last year he did not do well on road courses. A great surprise to everybody. But now Little Al begins to close on Nigel Mansell.
Mansell's success last year depended on his skill on the ovals, which he had never run on. You mentioned that he wasn't good on road courses, Paul. He must now reverse that trend this year if he's going to be champion. Bunch of road courses coming up in the next few weeks. He must excel if he's going to erode the Penske lead.
Paul Tracy sits in third, Emerson Fittipaldi in fourth, and then Mauricio Gugelmin as he comes off of the corner with Bobby Rahal finding new power in that Honda engine. Comes off just behind Gugelmin.
On that Honda engine, Bobby Rahal has an engine that is now firing with the same order as the Cosworth Fords and as the Elmore engine, Paul, and it seems to have made a lot more horsepower. What that means is they fired 2 pistons simultaneously.
On the nose of Bobby Rahal's car, Teo Fabi just behind, Gugelmin just ahead.
Bobby, it means, of course, the engine sounds differently. They're aiming for torque.
Ari Luyendyk into the pits, unscheduled, obviously. We'll keep track of that. Back with Bobby Rahal. He runs in 6th.
The big changes to that engine were to get it more torque, which would help it accelerate, of course, off the turns, which would be ideal for this track. And he qualified better today or yesterday than he has in some time.
People that have normal engines drive on the highway fire one piston at a time. The difference being, Sam, is to explain a little further, is they fire 2 pistons at one time, makes an 8-cylinder almost like a 4-cylinder.
2 cars with an early visit to the pits. One of them you saw a moment ago, Arie Luyendyk, but Gary Gerould also Stefan Johansson.
Indeed, Paul. The real problem is they came in and the right rear had just been totally shredded and demolished. We don't know where the contact was, but he obviously was in a first lap incident. They've made the change, fresh rubber. He's back out, but now at the back of the field.
And take a look at Al Unser Jr. as he comes around Mansell, and little Al picks up the lead.
Yes, and you know, passing is so hard here. I almost missed that when it happened so fast.
Yeah, like you said, it's hard here. He just zoomed right around.
Yeah.
Now Paul Tracy comes up to challenge.
Now Paul cannot afford to sit behind Mansell too long because little Al is getting away. Obviously Mansell's not working as good here. There he goes right there, and he knocked him out. That was
clean pass, and I think Paul Tracy knows that he cannot at this stage in the season, with only 1/3 place to give him points, afford to make any mistakes. He made a mistake at Indy. He made others. He must drive clean races.
We were all sitting here cringing, Sam, when that pass happened because we didn't know if it was going to fit or not.
So now it's Emerson Fittipaldi that begins to line up on Nigel Mansell. Though here in the early laps, Mansell can take his time. Here was the pass as Al Unser Jr. came right down to the inside on the exit of the corner. Boy, nice piece of driving there. Is that chassis handling well?
And the idea is, of course, to block him out, which little Al has him blocked now where he can't do anything. And if you notice, straightaways are so short, Paul, he had to really get an early start at him.
Take a look at this. This is the accident involving Mike Groff, which also involved Luyendyk and Johansson. But Groff hopped across one of the barrier strips and straight on into the tires.
Now, sometimes Mansell has let the others set the pace early in the race. I doubt very much that that's what he had in mind here. I think Mansell is going as hard as he can now, but we have seen him in other races play the role of the fox, drop back a little bit.
But you could tell, Sam, he wasn't going to do that here because you could see that start. Mansell was going at it from the very beginning.
Emerson Fittipaldi now closes on Nigel Mansell. That lens will push the following car back just a little bit, but still it's a spectacular shot.
Whereas psychologically, when you're in the car, the guy behind you seems huge in your mirrors. Big difference.
So Fittipaldi now in pursuit of Mansell. Al Unser Jr. has the lead. No driver has ever won at both Milwaukee and Detroit. Seems though, like we said something earlier this year, no one had ever won at Long Beach and Indianapolis. Little Al is rewriting the record books.
Well, only 3 drivers in this field have competed in all 6 Detroit Grand Prix. Interestingly, a real changing of the guard issue.
Now, Emmo's faced with the same decision that Tracy had. He's going to have to take a hard run while his tires are good at Mansell, or forget about passing Mansell at least until after the pit stops.
You see the rest of the group coming down in pursuit behind Fittipaldi. Gugelmin, Rahal, Bobby Villeneuve, and Robbie Gordon. Rahal looking for position on Mauricio Gugelmin.
Now remember, this track, unlike a lot of the others, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, has no real long straightaways with hairpin or real long turns at the end, which is normally where the passing happens.
Watching 5th through 9th. 10th place now is Mario Andretti.
Gugelmin, the first car in this group here, is a veteran of 74 Grand Prix. His best finish ever was 3rd.
This is that great helicopter shot. Remember, the helicopter can fly at about 130 miles an hour. The Indy cars just drive right away from it.
Sure gives you a good idea which way the turns go and what the drivers have to be looking at.
That's the battle for the front of the field. Here it is again. It's first Al Unser Jr. and then Paul Tracy.
Remember last week at Milwaukee, the Penske's did not qualify right at the front, but once the race started, they just swarmed to the front. That was a 1-mile oval, a completely different configuration than this track. Here again, almost the same thing happens. Mansell seemed to have them handled in qualifying and then has surged, they have surged past him.
So at the front of the field, Nigel Mansell, who picks up the lead from the pole, is then passed by first Unser Jr. and then Paul Tracy. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. For the first time in his IndyCar career, Al Unser Jr. is leading at Detroit in the ITT Automotive Detroit Grand Prix. But there was earlier incident, and now a yellow outstanding to guard this car, Raul Boesel. Jack, what's the story here?
Well, Paul, we checked with Raul Boesel with his crew, and Mo Nunn is calling the shots down here. Mo, what did Raul tell you over the radio about the condition of the car?
Raul said the dash just went out and the engine died. Other than that, we don't know.
Has it refired?
Sorry?
Has it refired?
No.
Paul, they seem to think it might be an electronic problem, but from all the smoke that we saw, it also could be an expired motor.
Well, we'll keep